So hello, Angelica. It's lovely to see you.
Hello, Annmarie. Yeah, it's lovely to see you again too.
And I so enjoyed reading your book
Oh,
and getting the opportunity to ask you some questions today.
yeah,
So it'd be great if you could just introduce yourself and your book,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
I can ask you some questions.
yeah. My name is Annmarie Superville, and I am a trauma-informed coach. It's basically what I do is in my coaching is helping women to change their story, change your story and change for life, and to overcome old patterns that are actually holding us back. And, they could stem from early childhood, those patterns that can occur anytime in your life. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I do. And I teach a workshop, which is called Acceptance, Belief and Choice, where I introduce a new concept to women. What I teach and talk about is not new. It's been about for a long time.
no. I just jotted down a few questions around some stuff that interested me. And yeah, just to kind of kick off with, kind of what age were you when you learnt to accept this? You wrote about quite early on in the book that you'd learnt to accept the suffering of your experience. And I
Yeah.
was kind of quite curious about what actual age do you think you were when you accepted this?
Well, I actually, I can't remember exactly the age because, you just don't remember. Well, I don't, and traumatized people just have a bit of an issue with that sometimes. Some do, some don't. But what I can share with you is that when my father left, because he was found out, and when he left, he moved to, the next town. So I used to see him in town. And when I did, I used to hide because I was afraid, I was scared. So I used to hide in shops, behind people. And then one day, and there must have been round about 9 or 10, I thought, well, do I want to be scared for the rest of my life? So I decided to put my best Sunday dress on and to actually visit him, because I knew he was married again and he had, 2 children. And so I did. I thought, feel the fear and do it anyway. Not that I thought that at the time, this is a very grown up quote, but something within me wanted to face it.
Yeah.
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 So I did. And, I can't remember what the conversation was, but it set me free. And I think, by doing that, that was sort of like kind of to accept.
Yeah.
It kind of helped me. So of course, then, a lot happens in my life and there was a lot to process. And it is many, many, many years ago where I learned that actually I need to accept this, as an adult now, and that is a different process. But also knowing that accepting something, it doesn't make it right. So it doesn't make it right what my father did to me, but it set me free.
Yeah.
Be able to move on and to forgive.
And you wrote about that understanding your father's upbringing helped you. And I just wondered if you could say a bit more about that. How did that help?
His mother died after his birth. So I don't know if it was immediately or months or a year, but he just was blamed and he was neglected. Yeah, he was the youngest in the family. And he actually was seen sitting in the on the pavement in the street, like abandoned by his family in a way. And he took on to drink, he started to drink from a very early age. I don't know exactly when, but, I would imagine that, maybe as soon as he was out of school and, started to work, that at some point, that drinking started, to numb the pain. So, yeah, because that was his trauma. And I also said in the book that nobody wakes up in the morning and decides, today is a good day to become an alcoholic.
Yeah, and what was it about that understanding? Because we often will understand what somebody's history and their past has influenced their behavior.
Yeah.
But what do you think it was in you that in having that understanding actually allowed you to forgive him?
Well, the understanding is that, you know, the realization through my learning is, he actually didn't have a good childhood. He wasn't loved. He was abandoned. You know, he wasn't taken good care of. And, you know, with the material and what I was learning, I just could put it together, because we know we have to accept and we have to forgive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually his own suffering, his own trauma. Yeah. I understood then and realized that if he wouldn't have had that trauma, it would have been a completely different story.